thank you for letting me share my grandmother's favorite piece with you. I think that it's always nice to be able to bring her spirit of belief into this room and to be able to share that with as many people as possible. So I had a very supportive family. My grandmother, my mom, my dad, my two younger brothers. So I was very lucky to be able to have a good belief in myself. Although I have to say that when I first went to school, then things started to change because obviously I was in the house and around support, but then I had to be with other kids who thought, hey, well, maybe he looks different than everyone else. Maybe we shouldn't play with him. And then I felt for the first time in my life in kindergarten that I was different from everyone else as well. So I used to be in my classroom and then I would pretend to be a cook. There was always a PlayStation of like an oven and like some pans, and I would pretend to cook dinner for myself all the time. It was a very lonely experience. But we had a project in kindergarten where we had to trace our hands on a piece of paper. It was for an art project. So you have like 5 fingers, you trace around, and you're trying to like make a turkey because in America and Canada there's Thanksgiving and you had to do the art. And I realized that I couldn't hold my pencil with my small hand and trace up my hand, so I felt very sad. But then I decided, well, maybe I'll just try to trace out my other hand instead. So I should take off my hand for a second. Let me just put this, oh, thank you again, and I'll just leave this here. I got my hand, and I put it on a piece of paper, like this, got the marker, and then started to trace it like this. And I remember saying, oh, it doesn't look like a turkey at all, this is very sad. But then I realized that my hand had a long neck and a small face, and it reminded me of a dinosaur. The Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus, very big, fierce dinosaur. Plant-eating dinosaur, of course. But I said, whoa, that's really cool. So I decided that on that day, I would have my own imaginary friend. And he would be a dinosaur that was my own hand. So anytime that I was lonely, I'd be cooking at the station, it was like, oh, and then my hand would go, drip, 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 drip. And I'd be like, hi, how are you? And I'd go, oh, it's good to see you, my own hand. You're hungry? Oh, okay, I have some vegetables for you. I just cooked. You go. And then after he was full, he would run away. And I was like, oh no, my own hand, don't leave me. I was so sad. But thank goodness, my hand was always with me. So it was very helpful for me when I was younger to think that maybe my body wasn't so ugly or different after all, because we're all different anyways. Some people are taller, some people are shorter, some people have different hairstyles, glasses, no glasses, and what I had was different. And the more that I said, rather than my hand wasn't good enough, but maybe just a powerful friend, it allowed me to take a lot of different risks and allowed me to try to do and tackle different challenges that might be a bit more difficult without, or because it was something that I just needed to do differently. So one of the big challenges that I had growing up was learning to tie my shoelaces. I remember I was in 2nd grade and I wanted these basketball shoes called Air Jordans. They were very fancy. And I begged my parents every single day, can I get it for Christmas? Can I get it for my birthday? Can I get it for Easter? Can I get it for Chinese New Year? Can I get it for any type of holiday? And they always said no. I was like, oh. One day, my mom made a deal with me, and she said, well, you can have the shoes if you learn to tie your shoelaces. And I'm like, Mom, but I don't know how to tie. So she said, well, I'll get them. And then when you go to school every morning, you can try your best, and if you can't do it, then I'll tie your shoelaces at the very end, and then we'll try again the next day. So I got the shoes. I was wondering if I could get a shoe with shoelaces from a volunteer in this audience. Can someone give me their shoe so I can demonstrate? Excellent, right here. Perfect timing. Thank you so much for your shoe. So, I know, so much distractions. So, back to my story. So I had the shoe in front of me, and the first thing that I tried to do, of course, was to try to hold it with one hand and try to do it like this. And of course I couldn't do it. The second thing I was trying to do was try to hold it with this hand, but it kept on slipping, which was very sad. Then I decided maybe it'd be a good idea to try to use my teeth to bite them. And ew was exactly what my mom said. She said, no, you need to brush your teeth. It's not good for you. Also, I said, oh, okay. So I did this for at least 30 days straight. So I was trying my best. It's like, oh, I can't do it. It sucks. And then my mom said, every time that you fail in something, you spell fail F-A-I-L, which stands for the first attempt in learning. And I said, oh. So maybe failure isn't the worst thing in the world. Maybe failure is the best teacher that I have, because it means that I can learn something new about how my body works. So, after 30 days of struggling, I came up with this idea that what I would do, instead of trying to hold my shoelace with this hand and kept on slipping, I thought, oh, maybe I can use my elbow. So what ends up happening is that I can cross the lace like this, and then do the first knot. It's hard to do while balanced. And then do the first circle, and then all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I was able to tie my own shoelaces. So that was something, maybe one day you could try to do it yourself. Not now. I know it's very tempting to. Do it with one hand. See how many things you can actually do with one hand. It's actually very challenging. So, another thing, I will go on to my next story, because this is one of the things. I try to do everything with my small hand, and sometimes it was easy. Sometimes I needed a different type of tool to be able to hold different things. So what I ended up getting was a very fancy and special hand made for me. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's in this corner right here. Ah, yes, here it is. A robotic hand. And this was a type of tool that I could use. It has a motor on the inside. It's made of metal on the inside, even though it looks like a real hand. And on the inside, there are two buttons. The buttons open and close, so that's why they have two. And the buttons, they measure the electricity that comes from your hand. Just like when you have a phone, it detects the electricity, and then you can use your screens. So it's like that on the inside of my hand. And when I was able to have this, I can open and close my hand like this. Very cool, right? So I got this in the 3rd grade. And I have to say that my life was changed forever. All of a sudden I had 2 hands like everyone else. So my first day of school, with my fancy new robot hand, I decided to show my classmates, and people were very impressed. So if I was holding a can of pop, I would hold it with this hand, or Coke. It was like, nothing special. But if I held it with this hand, people started clapping in my class. It's like, ooh, very nice. I can hold stuff. I know, it was so simple. And then all of a sudden, I was not the uncool person in the classroom. All of a sudden, everyone wanted to shake my hand. Not with this hand, of course, but with this hand. And I felt so popular for the first time. I must have shook 100 hands by the end of the morning. So I was going to recess, and I was shaking more hands in the school. And there was one girl in the 3rd grade who said, I don't want you to shake my hand. I was like, oh, that's sad. I want you to squeeze my nose. I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I decided, okay, that sounds like a lot of fun. I was in 3rd grade, I didn't know any better. So I got my arm open, I said, take a deep breath, and then I closed the hand on her nose. And she was like, ha ha ha, this is very silly. Can you open the arm? So I tried opening the arm, and it didn't work. I was like, I'm trying to open my hand. But you know what happened? My batteries had died. I was shaking so many hands in the morning that I ran out of power. And now the kids were all in the playground, and they were seeing this person with just a hand on her nose. The teachers came and said, why don't you let go? And I was like, it's out of batteries. So it couldn't open because it's very strong. We had to maybe get some pliers, it didn't work. So the principal called my parents, and they were 15 minutes away, unfortunately. So she had to wait, and I took off my arm like this, and she's just doing this, she's crying. Luckily, she could breathe out of her nose, so she wasn't in any danger, but it was just stuck. So my parents got me some new batteries, and finally I was able to open it. And then I got in big trouble with the principal. He's like, how could you ever use your robotic hand so irresponsibly? With great power comes great responsibility. I know, Spider-Man. I was like, cool, maybe I'm like a superhero all of a sudden. It was the first time that I was in trouble, and I was like, yes, a lot of fun. So, a lot of the times growing up differently, your tools, you have to get used to them, but they could be very funny sometimes. So I was in the 5th grade, and we were in music class, and we all had to play a musical instrument for the first time. And the first instrument that everyone played was the recorder, which has a lot of the holes in the flute part in order to play the different notes. This hand can only open and close like that, like a C, open and close. So it can't move all the fingers. This one doesn't do anything, unfortunately. So I said, well, I don't know what to do because I don't think I'll be able to play music.